Be prepared, because this isn't just another moon. This is the Pisces moon. And it doesn't knock gently. It seeps in, it dissolves the walls you didn't even know you still had. And it calls your heart back to what it almost forgot, but never truly released. Starting July 13th, the moon slips into Pisces, the sign of dreams, soul memory, deep emotion, and spiritual connection. And for twin flames, this means everything you've been trying to ignore will begin to surface. You may cry for no reason. You may feel his energy stronger than you have in weeks. You may wake from dreams that feel more real than your waking life. You may ache, soften, remember, and wonder, why does this feel like him again? Because it is. This moon doesn't bring answers. It brings reminders of the bond, of the promise, of the frequency you both agreed to carry, even in separation. But be careful. This energy is so emotional, so open, so vulnerable, that if you're not grounded, you'll confuse longing with truth. You'll chase a memory instead of anchoring the vibration. So the question isn't, will he come back during this moon? The real question is, can you hold your heart open without losing yourself in the flood? Because the wave is coming, and your soul already feels it. Let it rise, let it wash through, and let it reveal what love always knew. Something is shifting, not loud, but deep. It's not arriving with fireworks, but with a current. And if you've been feeling more sensitive, more emotional, more connected to the unseen lately, it's not random. It's the Pisces moon calling your soul into remembrance. And this time, it's not just about you. It's about the bond. Because for twin flames, when the moon enters Pisces, the energy doesn't stay in the sky. It drops into your chest. It travels through your spine. It touches every part of you that's been waiting, not for a person, but for a feeling, the kind that only a soul recognition can bring. Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac. It holds the wisdom of every cycle before it. It's not just water, it's spiritual water, the kind that dissolves illusions, unlocks dreams, and brings up everything you've buried, especially the sacred. And when this moon rises in Pisces, it begins to activate the parts of you that remember. The night you first met, the dreams that never faded, the ache that had no logic, but felt like truth, the whispers that come through songs, numbers, sudden tears, the knowing that something is still alive between you, even in silence. This moon doesn't deal with the surface, it swims in the soul. And for the divine feminine, that can feel overwhelming. Like your emotions are taking over, like your heart is opening too wide, too fast, too soon. But that's how Pisces works. It doesn't open the door, it melts the walls. So if you've been crying more lately, if you've been pulled into vivid dreams of your counterpart, if you feel like he's closer than ever, even if physically nothing has changed, it's because the field is shifting. And this moon is activating the invisible thread that still binds you. But here's what makes Pisces different. It doesn't just stir up the emotions. It asks you to surrender to them, to trust that your tears are holy, that your sensitivity is intelligent, that your ache is not a wound, it's a signal. And not just from you, but from him too. Because the divine masculine is not immune to this energy. He may not understand it, he may not talk about it, but his system feels it in restlessness, in dreams, in sudden memories of you, in the quiet moments when nothing satisfies, because your energy is missing. This moon will reach him through his subconscious, and it may confuse him, but it will also stir something ancient in him. Because Pisces holds the memory of lifetimes. And twin flames, you've met here before. So what does this mean for your connection? It means the illusion of separation is being softened. Not always physically, but energetically. And this creates a powerful space where truth can rise. Truth about how deep this bond runs. Truth about what needs to be forgiven, not just in him, but in you. Truth about how much love is still alive, even when it looks buried. Truth about where you've been holding back your own heart, waiting for him to unlock it for you. The Pisces moon is a portal, not to fantasy, but to feeling beyond logic. It's where your soul speaks in dreams, signs, body responses, where the veil thins, where timelines merge, where your higher self and his higher self begin whispering again, even if your physical selves don't speak yet. But be mindful, this moon is sensitive. It will stir both love and illusion. So if you're not grounded, you might confuse longing for truth. You might fall back into old patterns of waiting, chasing, or over-romanticizing. That's not what this moon asks of you. It asks you to feel without attaching, to receive without controlling, to remember without needing proof. So if the tears rise, let them. If the dreams come, write them down. If his energy touches you at night, place your hand on your heart and say, I feel you, and I release the need to understand. Because this moon didn't come to bring answers, it came to bring presence. And in that presence, you'll remember what you always knew. This love was never about a perfect path. It was about a sacred frequency, one that can't be forced, only felt. And this moon is helping you feel it again. You've been told you're too sensitive, that you need to let go, that your feelings are too much. But what if your emotions aren't a flaw? What if they're your gateway? Because under the Pisces moon, everything that's been buried rises to the surface, not to break you, but to wake you. So if you've been crying more than usual, if your moods have shifted from joy to grief in the same hour, if you've felt raw, cracked open, exposed, as if your heart has no skin left, you are not breaking down. You're breaking open. And yes, it's intense. Yes, it's confusing. But this emotional wave isn't chaos. It's a soul cleansing. Because the Pisces moon doesn't just stir emotions, it reveals the truth behind them. And in the twin flame journey, that truth often arrives like a flood. Fast, unexpected, overwhelming. But not uninvited, because your soul called this in. Not because it wants to suffer, but because it's finally ready to release what's no longer aligned with your becoming. And sometimes, that release feels like heartbreak. Even when you're not losing anything at all, you're grieving the version of you who waited. You're letting go of the illusion that love had to hurt to be real. You're shedding every energetic pattern that said, I am not enough unless he chooses me. This is the real reason your emotions are overflowing now, not because you're weak, but because your soul is detoxing, not because you're regressing, but because you're rising. So pause, feel your body. Can you sense the electricity in your chest, the buzzing under your skin, the pulse behind your tears? That's not just sadness, that's movement, that's awakening. And here's the key. You're not the only one feeling this. The divine masculine may not show it in the same way. He may numb it, ignore it, distract himself from it. But his body feels the pressure building. His heart feels the presence of something unexplainable. His sleep is interrupted. His thoughts keep circling back to you. And though he won't always understand it, his soul does, because this wave, it's for both of you. It's the energetic mirror. Everything you're purging emotionally, he's feeling internally. Everything you're crying for, he's quietly aching for. Everything you're releasing, he's subconsciously noticing. Because when the feminine clears the heart, the masculine feels the vacuum. And that flat, empty space inside him starts whispering, "She's not waiting for me to complete her. She's remembering who she is." That's the trigger. That's what wakes him. But for now, your only task is to feel. Feel it all without drowning in it. Let the tears come without attaching a story to everyone. Let the ache move without chasing after him to fix it. Let the emotional storm wash through you, not as punishment, but as a sacred baptism. Because the question this moon is asking isn't, "Why are you still feeling this?" It's, "Are you finally ready to let this move through you?" Instead of identifying with it. You are not your pain, you are not your longing, you are not your waiting. You are the one who observes it all and still rises. So no, you're not going backwards. You're not falling apart. And you're not being punished. You're being emptied of what cannot travel with you into the next chapter. You're being stretched to feel more than the surface. You're being invited into real intimacy with your own soul. Because the deeper you feel, the clearer you become. And that clarity is what leads you to truth, to peace, to a love that is no longer begging to be seen, but simply is. So the next time the wave hits, don't resist it. Don't analyze it. Just breathe through it. Say softly, "I allow this to rise. I allow this to move. I allow myself to be cleansed." Because this is not emotional overload. This is emotional alchemy. This is your nervous system syncing with your soul. This is your heart remembering that feeling deeply is your gift. And in this Pisces moon, your tears are not weakness. They are transmission. Your ache is not failure. It is a message. And your sensitivity? It's the sacred doorway into what your counterpart is beginning to feel, even if he doesn't know how to say it yet. So feel, beloved, not because it hurts, but because it's real. And because this time, you're not drowning, you're waking up. Why he feels you stronger now, even if he's silent. He hasn't reached out, he hasn't said a word. And yet, you know, you feel. There's something in the field, subtle but unmistakable. You feel it when you're brushing your hair and your chest tightens, when you're walking through the day and his name floats in like a whisper, when you're half asleep and your body buzzes like someone's presence is right beside you. He's not talking, but he's louder than ever. So how can he feel you so strongly right now, when he's silent, distant, or even seemingly detached? The answer is simple. Because the Pisces moon has dissolved the veil, and your energy, once tucked quietly in the background of his awareness, is now rising to the surface of his soul memory. This moon doesn't activate his logic, it activates his sensing. And for the divine masculine, that's deeply uncomfortable, because for most of his life, he's stayed safe in his mind. He's created distance by labeling, rationalizing, avoiding. But now, his mind is tired. And when the mind tires, the soul starts to speak. And the soul, it remembers you, not your voice, not your face, not the story, but your frequency. And that frequency is calling him now, not because you're reaching, but because you're anchored, because you've shifted. You're not clinging like before. You're not sending energy laced with need. You're not searching for him in every sign. You've dropped into yourself. And paradoxically, that's what makes him feel you stronger than ever before. You became quiet, and your field got louder. You stopped chasing, and your energy became magnetic. And now, he feels it. He feels you when he's trying to rest. He feels you when he hears that one song. He feels you when he's alone. The space he once used to escape now echoes with you. But here's what you need to understand. He's not resisting you. He's resisting what you reflect, because you reflect everything he's afraid to become. Open, vulnerable, seen, capable of deep love, capable of feeling what he spent years trying to bury. So he may go quiet, he may distract himself, he may even lash out energetically or appear cold. But underneath that surface behavior, his body is responding. His dreams are shifting. His thoughts are looping back to moments he didn't realize mattered. Because this isn't about memory anymore, it's about soul activation. And the Pisces Moon, it's a spiritual trigger, a quiet, holy invitation for him to begin feeling again, even if he doesn't know why. And here's the most important truth. He doesn't need to understand it to be affected by it. The divine masculine often awakens through disorientation, not clarity. He starts noticing what no longer satisfies. He starts wondering why he feels unsettled. He starts remembering your energy, not as a craving, but as a missing piece of his own wholeness. And all of this happens beneath the surface. So if you're feeling him stronger now, in dreams, in sudden heart flutters, in waves of emotion that don't belong to you, it's because he's stirring. And your connection is beginning to speak through energy, not effort. You don't need to reach out. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to wonder if you're making it up. Because when two souls are bound on this level, silence is not absence. It's processing. This is the phase where he feels you as truth, not just memory. Where your essence becomes louder than your voice. Where your field touches him not through longing, but through stability. And that is irresistible. So, while you may feel tired or emotional, or like your chest expands every time you think of him, know this, he feels it too. And his silence is not distance, it's digestion. He's integrating the parts of himself he locked away. He's facing the weight of what he lost when he pulled away. He's beginning to understand that you didn't come to hurt him. You came to mirror him, to awaken him. And awakenings aren't quiet, even when they look like they are. So stay where you are, centered, rooted in your own knowing, held by your own light, because he doesn't need to hear your voice to feel your truth. He already does. And now, he's remembering it in the most sacred way, from the inside out. You've asked for clarity, for confirmation, for something, anything that proves you're not imagining this connection. And now, it's everywhere. His name shows up when you're not thinking about him. You see repeated numbers, 111, 222, 444. At the exact moments your chest tightens, a song plays that you haven't heard in years, and suddenly you're in tears. You wake from dreams that feel more real than your waking life. You're not going crazy. You're being contacted, not always in physical form, but through energy, frequency, and soul-coded communication. Because under the Pisces moon, your intuitive channels open wide. The veil thins, the boundaries between your consciousness and the soul realm dissolve. And this is when the language of the bond speaks loudest, through dreams, signs, and synchronicities. But here's the part no one tells you. These messages aren't meant to entertain you. They're meant to activate you. And that means they'll stir something in you. They'll interrupt your routine. They'll make your logic uncomfortable because they're not just signs. They're reminders that your soul has already agreed to something your mind is still trying to understand. Let's start with the dreams. Have you been dreaming of him lately? Have you had scenes replay with more emotion than your real-life conversations ever held? Have you woken up feeling like you were just with him? Not as memory, but as presence. That's not fantasy. That's the astral field. The Pisces moon activates dreamtime connection because it rules the subconscious and spiritual oceans of emotion. And your twin flame, whether they know it consciously or not, feels safest there. That's where the soul speaks without interruption. That's where healing happens, even when words can't. So the dream, where he hugged you, where he cried, where you were reunited even silently, that was more than just a dream. It was contact. Your souls meeting where your minds can't follow. Pay attention to how you feel upon waking. Your body holds more truth than your memory. And then, the signs. You look at the clock and it's 11:11. You see his initials on license plates. You hear the word twin flame spoken in a random conversation. The Pisces moon amplifies resonance. This means your soul is tuning in, like a radio dial locking into frequency. The signs aren't chasing you. You're simply becoming more receptive. But here's the invitation. Don't just see the signs. Feel what they're trying to tell you. That number pattern. What were you thinking at the moment it appeared? That song. What memory did it awaken in your chest? That strange coincidence. Did it confirm something you've been doubting? This is how the universe speaks in Pisces energy. Not with explanations, but with echoes. And finally, synchronicities. You think of him, and then you feel a chill. You write in your journal, and suddenly your phone lights up with something that relates exactly to what you wrote. You feel an intuitive nudge to take a different path, then run into a place, symbol, or word that mirrors your current emotional state. These aren't accidents. They are mirror portals. And under this moon, synchronicities increase, not as signs of what will happen, but as reminders of what is already happening beneath the surface. But here's the truth. You have to be present to receive them, not obsessively searching, not frantically analyzing, but open. And maybe that's the real message of this moon, to soften your gaze, to let your heart listen, to trust the way your body lights up, because your body doesn't lie. This is a time to trust not just what you're seeing, but what you're sensing. Because every dream you've had lately, every number that keeps repeating, every time you suddenly feel him near, even if he's silent, it's not random, it's not delusion, it's remembrance. And these signs, they're not here to keep you stuck in longing. They're here to guide you back to yourself, to the center of your soul, where you and him are already connected, always. So ask yourself, are you brushing off the signs because you're afraid they're not real? Or are you ready to let them lead you deeper? Because when the universe speaks, it doesn't yell, it whispers. And during this Pisces moon, your soul is finally quiet enough to hear it. So don't ignore what's showing up. He feels you, you feel him, and the field between you is alive. You don't need proof, you just need presence, because the signs are already speaking, and they've been waiting for you to listen. What this moon is trying to heal in your bond. There's a sacred softness moving through the air right now, a tenderness that doesn't come with loud transformation or massive change, but with a quiet ache, a silent pulse, a feeling that something is unraveling, not to end, but to heal. This Pisces moon didn't come to stir your mind. It came to mend what was never meant to stay broken, not just within you, but within the invisible bond that holds you and your twin flame together, across timelines, across silences, across all the fear that has stood between love and truth. So what is this moon trying to heal? Let's start here. It's trying to heal the wound of emotional abandonment, not just in this life, but from lifetimes where your love was misunderstood, where he left when you stayed, where your heart stayed open while his shut down in fear. This moon brings those memories back, sometimes in dreams, sometimes in emotions you can't explain. And it feels like grief, but it's actually a release, because your soul is no longer willing to carry the unspoken pain of being the only one who feels it all. This moon says, you are not the only one who feels this. Even if he's silent, even if he looks away, even if he's never said the words you needed to hear, his soul knows. And under this Pisces energy, that knowing rises, even if he can't yet name it. This moon also wants to heal the imbalance in how love is exchanged. You've given so much. You've held the frequency. You've cried and cleared and called him back energetically more times than you can count. And now, your soul is tired of giving from depletion. The Pisces moon whispers, it's time for love to flow in both directions. Not by forcing him to change, not by demanding what he cannot yet offer, but by healing the pattern that says, you must give everything in order to receive anything. That's not divine love. That's trauma masquerading as sacrifice. And this moon is washing it away, gently, thoroughly, permanently. Can you feel that? That strange calm after the storm? The space where you're no longer chasing his energy, but beginning to recognize your own wholeness. That's the healing. Because this moon knows something your mind forgets. You don't need to lose yourself in love to stay connected. You can be soft and strong, open and protected, loving and discerning. And that's the energy this moon is anchoring in your field and his, because while you're learning to stop overgiving, he's beginning to feel the space your energy used to fill. And for the first time, he can feel what it means to miss you energetically, not because you've closed the door, but because you've stopped leaking your light. And that distance, it doesn't create disconnection. It creates awareness, and awareness is the beginning of true healing. This moon is also healing the illusion of separation. You've believed for so long that you had to do it all alone, that he wasn't feeling what you were, that maybe you were making it up. But now, his dreams are shifting, his body is reacting, his thoughts are looping back to you in ways he can't shake. And the same moonlight bathing you in softness, is reaching him too. You're not apart, you're processing in parallel. Because healing doesn't always look like reunion. Sometimes it looks like mutual quiet, like two souls feeling the same wave in different places, but remembering why the bond exists. So what is this moon healing? The old emotional loops of imbalance, the wounds of being unseen, unheard, unchosen, the fear of loving without being loved back, the distortion that says pain proves connection, the silence that once felt like rejection, but is now space for integration. It's healing the frequency of love between you, purifying the emotional current, releasing the ache of old lifetimes, clearing the residue of fear and fantasy, so that what remains is truth, not forced, not perfect, but real. And that truth sounds like this: I can feel you without needing you to fill me. I can love you without losing myself. I can hold this bond without bleeding for it. This is divine love, balanced, whole, awake. And that's the love this Pisces moon is here to heal you into. Not a fantasy, not a story, but a frequency that you're finally ready to receive. And he's beginning, in his own quiet way, to reach toward. You've felt the silence. You've questioned the distance. You've stood in the stillness, wondering if love is fading or if you're simply being forgotten. But the truth is, love isn't leaving you. It's rising. And the Pisces moon came not to comfort your logic, but to expand your soul into this knowing. Because real love, the kind that lives beyond attachment, timelines, roles, and fear, doesn't vanish. It deepens. It grows in stillness. It stretches inside silence. It pulses beneath the ache, saying softly, I'm not gone. I'm just transforming. You may not hear their voice. You may not feel their presence the same way you did before. And you may think, it must be over. But the bond, it's not gone. It's growing up. Because the love between twin flames was never meant to stay in longing. It was meant to evolve through lifetimes of remembering, forgetting, and rising again. And under this Pisces moon, it's doing exactly that. Love is rising from fantasy into embodiment, from ache into alignment, from fear into frequency. This moon didn't come to bring you closure. It came to bring you truth. And the truth is this: you were never abandoned. You were being purified. You were never unloved. You were being realigned. You were never waiting in vain. You were learning how to become the version of you that no longer begs for love, but radiates it. And now you stand here, softer, stronger, clearer. You've cried what needed to be released. You've surrendered what no longer felt like peace. And somewhere deep within, even if your heart still wavers, your soul knows love hasn't left. It's just preparing to return in a new form. And maybe that form isn't what you imagined. Maybe it won't arrive with a dramatic reunion, a perfect message, or a sudden confession. Maybe it comes quietly, as a dream that finally feels safe, as a breath that doesn't ache, as a version of you who no longer needs to be chosen, because she's already whole. And maybe that's what calls him back. Not your yearning, not your waiting, but your remembering. Because love doesn't rise through desperation. It rises through resonance. And you, beloved, are resonating now. You're vibrating on the frequency of peace and not panic, presence, not pursuit, clarity, not confusion. And that shift, that's what changes everything. So if the silence lingers, let it. It's sacred. It's working. If the signs keep showing up, receive them. They're real. They're guided. And if your heart still aches, let it pulse. That's the rhythm of love stretching into your field again. Not to break you, but to build you. Because what's coming next is not the version of love that left. It's the one that finally matches who you've become. So here is your final message, wrapped in the light of this moon. Love isn't gone. It's not lost. It's not punishing you for feeling too much. It's rising to meet you where you finally feel worthy of receiving it fully. And the masculine, he feels it, not in words, but in waves. He doesn't know how to name it yet, but he knows something's changed. He feels the shift in your field, and part of him is waking, not because you pulled him, but because you finally released him with love. That's the moment real reunion begins, not from effort, but from energy. So breathe. Let this moon do what it came to do. Let it whisper in your heart, you're not being left behind. You're being lifted forward, and everything you felt was never in vain, because love isn't leaving you. It's finally, beautifully, completely rising.